Hi everyone, welcome to COMM 27, Visual Thinking for Communication Managers. This is Section E. I'm your instructor, Aaron Vicencio. Now, COMM 27 can be divided into two parts. First, visual thinking, and the second part is communication managers. Now, this class tries to connect the visual practice within managing, within creating, within developing projects of a visual ideal. Now, for this one, let me first introduce myself and why am I teaching this subject. So, I'm a photographer. I'm a photo editor. I have a diploma in photojournalism. When I was in Ateneo, my college degree, I took psychology in 2005. Now, most of my best friends during that time were BS Comtech students. They were part communication, part management people whom I would be working for the next 15 years as a photographer. So this subject comes at a very good opportunity, especially now we're in most of what we're doing is in front of a camera. Now, I'm not saying that everything visual comes from the camera, but it is the basic language or medium rather that we all use. Now, for this class, it goes into visual thinking. What is it? Think of it as a vocabulary and a playbook on understanding what it means to be visual. And it also gives you the language to talk to visual talents. Maybe you are already visual and you just don't know what it's called. Don't know what the name of this particular thing is. I'll be introducing you to theories of what it means to be visual, what does quote unquote image means and how is it different from visual. And the second part is, one, COMM, communication. What is it? And what do you manage? So from that dissection of the course title, we'll try to create a more coherent image of what this course is. Now, for you managers, this class will be knowing by doing. You will be given various tasks, and I'll explain the syllabus in a bit. You will have a legacy project wherein it can be anything, but it needs to be visual by nature. And then I'll also take into account the various questions given at the beginning of a class, wherein these questions were usually asked by students na, what's this? What do I have to do this? Now, for this part, I'll go into the various tasks given for this class. No? So Module 1 starts next week, August 30. So it goes into the visual perception and representation and processes of visualization. It goes by asking, what is visual thinking? It also asks, what kind of visual thinker are you? Are you a visual thinker? Do you know the visual language, semiotics, visual rhetoric? Do you see images in your mind? What are your triggers, or what images do you block? Now, as a reminder, the first session will be on September 1 from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You have the first few tasks of the rabbit hole and visual pleasures. I'll explain that in a bit. Now, for Module 2, it looks into imagining and ideation. What are the techniques? What are the brainstorming tools that we have in creating visuals? For this module, you'll be telling stories through maps and creating and curating something. There are 2 synchronous sessions for this. Now, the third module occupies most of the semester. It is the human-centered innovation. It looks into human-centered design, looks into empathy, prototype, iterations, innovations. This is where the legacy project comes in, and you can arrange for group consultations for this part. There will be only 1 synchronous session for this, and it focuses more on what the group can do. Assessment tasks here focus more on group deliverables like proposal, the empathy and the message, and an in-store experience. So we start with the individual. We start with what do you want to do or what do you like? And then we go into collaboration. Then we go into vision making. And that's the 4th module. Module 4 takes into account storytelling, play, and showing. We'll discuss data visualization, storytelling with images, improv, presentation, making mistakes while making a presentation. It includes vision making and to interview a visual practitioner. Now, this brings us to the synthesis of this course, wherein it looks back into the personal reflections on industry, practice, and skills. So we start with your conceptions, ideas of what it means to be visual, and then we bookend that with a reflection or a realization of what does it actually mean to be visual. Those questions will be, or rather, those discussions will be asked through a reflection paper wherein what does it mean to have a world without images? Does the world actually exist without images? Now, for this course, there are 5 major assessment categories. The first would be the group visualization challenges. The first one is the rabbit hole. The second one is designing an in-store experience. The third one is to interview a visual practitioner. Now, the rabbit hole just looks into a free thinking of images. No? How can you connect one image with the next? And how can the whole group collaborate in creating a wiki or a Pinterest or a wall of something of images just coming from one word, concept, or phrase? The second one is an in-store experience, like trying to imagine this now in our context. How will the in-store experience be? Does it need to be physical? Does it need to be online? How can you make an online store immersive? Now, the third one is to interview a visual practitioner. Now, I understand the difficulty of getting interviewees at this time. So, ideally, you have one and then expound from there. Now, of course, you have to do your own individual tasks. The first one is storytelling through maps. It's already online, and there are some parts of it wherein I ask you to remember. I ask you for your memories of how it meant to walk, how it meant to experience a certain space. Now, the second individual engagement activity, sorry about that, is creation and curation of home. I ask you to look into the idea, the image of home. Now, shameless plug, one of my lectures is already there, and I break down what it means, it meaning home. I break down what is home. I break down how we conceive the idea of home. And hopefully, through this exercise, you will never see home the same way ever again. Now, the third one is vision making for the future. You are this. This future is yours. Now, how do you create that vision? How do you imagine that vision? Now, going through the other assessment activities, in the visual pleasure and confession, just confess. No? Say what you like, say what you don't like. What are guilty pleasures of viewing and watching? And to bookend that, what if these images didn't exist? Now, for the group legacy project, it includes a proposal and ideation, an empathy looking or an empathy approach to creating images, and what is your message, and finally, a presentation. Now, there are individual contributions to assigned work, meaning discussion boards. Now, there are 3 that are required. The other discussion boards posted in class, and there's a lot, just calls for your participation. So just freely talk. No, it's not an essay writing contest. It can be just 3 to 5 sentences and you're done. So for this course, there are some readings involved, no, and it should be up on the Canvas site as soon as possible. Now, the rubrics are mostly focusing on the variety of ideas and contexts, combining ideas, the depth of what you're trying to say, and the clarity of means of saying it, so through the communication values. Now, throughout the semester, there will be opportunities for you to consult as a group and individually. So just be mindful of when you actually schedule those. For the most part, I'm free on Mondays and Fridays. During Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have 3 sections with the Department of Communication. So that's pretty much covers my whole day. Now, there's Wednesday. Usually on Wednesdays, I'm on campus to work with the arete. So that might be tricky for me. But if you schedule it earlier, maybe I can also accommodate that schedule. Now, this is very important that please be mindful of the submission, the deadlines. No, all individual submission dates are targets, but I'm very strict with the group submissions because it makes you accountable for others. It makes you to be disciplined in working as a group, and the collaboration is actually there, no, and you're, well, to say it bluntly, you're forced to do it. Now, there are some usual questions or asked by previous students. No, I'm not creative. I'm not visual. Will I fail this class? You will fail if you do not try. You will fail this class if you do not engage the material. Do not criticize the theories or just accept the content as it is. You have to be critical. You have to develop that eye that looks, that seeks information. So you will create something and you will do the work. And in order to excel in this class, I ask you to participate. You need to try new things and you will need to make original work. Now, you can also work on, let's say you're working on your thesis or final outputs in other classes. Now, for this class, maybe you can reimagine the visual aspect of that final requirement and to be focused in it. But you have to let me know where was this class previously used and how was it used. Now, the second question would be, I'm already creative. I'm already a visual practitioner. Why do I have to take this class? Then I say, good for you. Because this class might give you structure, theories, and new perspectives that you are looking for. Maybe this class will give you a means of service that your talents are actually being used or being utilized. Maybe you're already too comfortable with what you're doing and looking for a new challenge. Maybe this class will give you the means of looking at creativity and visual thinking in a spectrum of skill, process, power, and ultimately service. So how do I make the most of this class? First, speak up, participate. Use this class to develop your voice and vision. Get out there, get out of your own head of what you're doing and what you're not used to doing. Because doing the same thing, doing the same shit all day will burn you out. Think outside the box and maybe consider there is no box. I ask you to take risks. I ask you to make mistakes. And of course, I ask you to learn from it. Now, you might notice that there are 6 sections of this class. No? 4 are under Ms. Rina Baswani, who designed this class. Now, there are some intersections. There are some content that are the same, especially in the first 2 modules and the legacy project. But what I'm bringing into the table is a visual practitioner. And I try to give you the different perspectives with chances and opportunities to participate and speak out. We might as well have a plenary, and if we're doing that, then there are less opportunities for everyone. One common statement I get is, or question I guess, what does my instructor like? Maybe if I guess what he's thinking, I will get a high grade. Right away I'm saying, if I tell you what I like, then we're not building your ability to be creative or to think critically for yourself or to be in the service of others. Do not let your own ways, your own set ways, be in the way of your own creative thinking. So finally, what can you expect from this class? You can expect individual challenges to your own ideas of creativity, what it means to be visual, an introspection of your process if you're already a visual practitioner or thinker, and opportunities actually to know your friends better. Let's try to make this class a safe space for ideas, experiences, and growth. So I hope this is a productive and welcome change from your other classes.